Okay, so what are we going to talk about today? We were considering the topic of planning, so I'm going to continue the topic of planning further. Okay, what was planning, everyone? Planning was basically deciding in advance what to do, how to do, when to do, and by whom it should be done. So basically, it is all about doing the things and who will execute it, who will be doing the entire thing, the entire planning part. So planning is basically both as per the present and the upcoming future. So planning is basically a way of working where we are being futuristic in terms of our work. So now that we are done with the area of planning, first that in the last class I covered the basics there, we covered the steps, and then today we'll be also learning about a new topic, which is MBO. Everybody, if you like this particular class, then please go ahead and like the particular session and share it among your peers. Every single day I'm coming up with all these sessions, so all I would be looking forward to is that we are working together and continuing with the series where we'll be covering the entire subject in terms of the MCQ series. So please go ahead and keep on sharing it. The questions and everything that I'm making is totally from the IBF book itself, so it is as per the book there. So, and at the same time, even the content that is there, it is basically a snapshot of the book itself. All those important things are from the book in a concise form so that you can learn it without any effort. Then, okay, so let's start with the particular session where I'm covering today the topic of MBO. Acha, what do you mean by MBO? MBO was given by Peter Drucker. He's known as the guru of management, right? Management guru overall. Drucker is a very renowned name when it comes to management. When we talk about MBO, management by objectives, the term is actually management by objectives. What do you mean by this? Management by objectives can be stated as something where you set up a particular objective and then you run towards the objective, isn't it? That's how we look forward towards our working. So MBO talks about management by objectives itself. We are run by the specificity of the objectives itself. We create objectives and then we try to achieve them. So basically, establish the goals, desired or outcomes for each subordinate in the conference between management and the concerned subordinate. So what do you mean by this? You are designing what you want to do in your life and you are working towards it. Then that's the first part. Then is the set performance standards. You have to think about the performance standards in advance and you have to run towards the setting up and working towards it. Assess the performance achieved against the goal set for the employee through frequent performance review meetings. You have to do all the review meetings. You have to understand what we want to do, how we want to do. All those things have to be defined. And then what we do is identify the reasons for shortfall. Why is there a shortfall? Why is the particular shortfall coming up? But obviously, if we plan, never things are just going to be the same. There are points where things go higher. There are points where things will go lower. So it's going to be like that. It's never going to be consistent. So whenever you find there is a problem, what will you do? You'll identify the reasons why the problem is being there and then establish new goals. You establish the best goals and you are ready for the next level. That means a circle goes on and on. Resolutions, we make New Year resolutions. This is what I'm going to do at this point of time. We decided what we want to do and then what? We're going to pursue to achieve that goal, isn't it? So that does this mean that MBO is basically there in the regular life of a person? Indeed, you set up a goal, you run towards it. Sometimes there's a little tweak that is required. You made the tweak, and boom, it's all set. So this is based upon the working. Sorry. But it's obvious when we are working in this way, there are certain things. We have to assess the performance achieved against the goals. We have to assess everything that whatever we are doing and how we are doing. And we have to make sure that through frequent performance review meetings, we are able to work upon this area between the manager and the subordinate. Matlab, since I am not the only one who's working, the manager is also going to let me know how to work and how to do things. So that's how the entire process of working. Okay, so now we have learned the basics of the entire accounting system, the entire management system in terms of MBO. Now today I'll be covering the questions from the basics along with the area of the MBO. So let's move on. Uh, okay, just take a quick look at the MBO, and then we'll start with the class, because what will happen is the topic that I've discussed just now, this is going to be covered in the class further. Okay, the I think the later MCQs, the beginning ones not, but the later ones are going to be covered with these areas itself. So let me know. Okay, so settled everyone. Now let's move on and talk about it. What does the process of objective determination involve within the organization and its external environment? Avoiding investigation of fundamental variables, ignoring individual advantages, then identifying individual advantages and fundamental variables. You have to identify those things, because pata hai, if you don't do that, what will happen? You need to know what is the basic process, how this organization works. So that particular part has to be known in advance. Ki what is the particular core area which affects the organization? What are those things which are going to hit the organization badly? So we should be absolutely clear. So rejecting principles and all that just doesn't make sense. The answer is C only, because you have to identify the individual advantages. You need to know whether things are going in our side or not. So the assessment has to be done. Acha, I think we'll be studying it in the planning itself. There's something called environmental scanning. Scanning means what? You analyze the environment. For example, as soon as you see that the winter's coming up, you won't start stitching the winter clothes at that point of time. By that time you should be selling it. So by the time the summers struck, so what will you do? You will start getting the yarn and everything, the fabric and everything into the line, and then during the entire summer the winter clothing are created, and then during the particular period, as soon as the particular time sets in, the entire apparels that you are keeping in your organization there, in terms of the garment organizations, the um, then what will they do? The garment shops and all, they will put up all the winter wear. So what are they doing? They know that there are certain things which are changing in the market, and if it is changing, we would change according to that. You just cannot sell winter wear during summers until or unless people are in dire need. They are going into an area where there would be summer in that area, and you cannot say the vice versa as well, right? So technically you need to understand which particular part is changing every single day. What are the advantages of keeping up with the pace there, right? Then how does the planning contribute to the optimization of resources? Planning plays a very important role. What role does the planning play? Planning plays the role of by allocating resources randomly. No, planning is deciding in advance what to do. By determining activities with maximum resource demand, that's the first thing that we do. I have to determine what kind of activities are we going to do and what is the maximum demand for the resource. By avoiding resource allocation, it is required. Then by limiting resource usage, we are going to limit the usage of the resources, because if we are randomly allowing too much of utilization of these things, what will happen? There is a wastage. But uh, limit in terms of quality is not allowed. So this particular point D is definitely a little vague for me. So in this case, the correct answer is by determining the activities with maximum resource demand. How does the planning impact workers' morale? Planning has no effect on workers' morale. Planning boosts the worker morale. Planning decreases the workers' morale. Planning is unrelated to workers' morale. Planning plays a very important role. If the worker knows by what time they want to finish something, they will finish that particular time itself. So technically, then you will be known कि ठीक है, this is what we are doing, and by this particular time, I'll be done with the work. So planning basically boosts the worker morale. He is clear, this is my goal that I want to achieve by so and so time. That particular thing is super important. So planning is basically something that boosts the worker morale. Then what is the potential drawback of planning process being viewed as one and done kind of an activity? Lack of trustworthy data, forestalls adaptability, death by plan, or lack of coordination. Acha, what do you mean by the term death by plan? Uh, पता है, there was a change. Um, let's talk about this. What happens is, normally at this point of time, okay, let's take it from the point of view of any contingencies that happen. COVID. Before COVID, there was an organization. Let's take a random organization name. The organization had 20% of the sale increase target. during the period of that COVID one year. The entire year they were thinking about it. They had set their goals, their way of working, their strategies were set. All of a sudden, COVID hits. Now, the organization says, we had already developed the strategies. It was too much time consuming. So let's just continue with the same strategy. What will happen? Within the next 3 months, things are going to be fine. Lockdown will be over. Now, when the lockdown was over, what happened? People started working again. But was the market still the same? Or the market has changed extensively? Technically, the market changed drastically after that part. So that was called death by plan. You just cannot stay on the plan. You sometimes have to change the planning when there is a change in the market. Basically, one of the problems of planning is sometimes it becomes too rigid when there is a need of flexibility. That's why it is said that planning doesn't work in dynamic environment. It works only in those organizations where you have um, the stability. There is no external things involved, right? So that is death by plan. Then comes the next point. What is the first step in the planning process according to the information? What is the first step? Objective establishment, developing the planning premises, opportunity analysis, or an alternative, the alternative identification. Alternatives is way later. The first thing to do is basically opportunity analysis. You will look into the opportunity, you'll find the opportunity, then you will, based upon the opportunity, you will establish your objective. I saw an opportunity, this is my goal. Once your goal is set up, then you are looking at the variables. Okay, what are the variables? What are the particular things that I have to keep in mind when it comes to the specific amount or whatever the things would be? You just have to be very clear about the planning premises. Then opportunity analysis was the first one. Then we have a objective establishment. Then you look forward towards developing planning. Once you have made a plan, then you evaluate various ways of doing it. Then alternatives identification, choosing the best alternative, and then we get to know the entire working, right? Now in this case it is opportunity analysis. What are the objectives considered the initial step in the planning process? They are political endeavors, or they help in identifying alternatives. They guide the development of strategies. They involve forecasting. Why are objectives considered the initial step? Objective, without objective making, you just cannot run. Think about it. I keep on telling you, why are you not studying? What are the, how will you complete the syllabus? Everything and all. The very first thing you will say, ma'am, where is the checkpoint? By what point of time I had to complete this? You are putting so much on pressure on us. Just let me know by what time we should have completed. We'll try to finish during that time. That is the first and foremost thing a person would say when he's asking, why haven't you finished it up? Why these things are not having? The person get bashed and he'll be like, hold on, you have to understand. I need to know what are my objectives to achieve, and then I'll work upon that. So what are the objectives? Why are objectives considered as initial step? They are basically the reason you develop strategies. You set up an objective that I want to finish this thing by this point of time. Then you filed alternatives. This can be done, this can be done, this can be done. You have a set of things involved in it. So that clarity comes only through this. Then, what is the purpose of developing planning premises? To identify alternatives, to guide the development of objectives, to provide realistic assessment of environment, to evaluate alternatives. Alternatives and evaluation is a very after wala point. When we talk about developing planning premises, na, acha everyone, we have our class every day. If I say what are the variables, the lighting, right? My presence, your presence, then internet. So we have got, if I say that one particular variable is fixed, that I'll be meeting you at this point of time every single day. That means I will have to assume my internet is going to work fine, the inverter is going to work fine, because if there's no light, the inverter is still there. Then at the same time, I will expect that whatever I am doing, I'm in the best of the health so that I can take the class. So there are certain things I just have to assume they have to be there every single day. Until or unless there is a problem, then obviously the things would be different. But that is a small deviation from the particular plan, and normally that should not be the point. So in this case, it is basically something where you have to keep multiple variables, consider, and then stabilize them. Say these things are going to be there. So that means every single day I have decided that I'll be meeting you in the every morning. So my morning is fixed with you. Rest everything else we'll be deciding, right? Acha, what does the process of identifying alternative means? Now the point is alternative means what? I set up an objective. On the basis of objective, I developed a strategy. Strategy is done, objective is set. After the stretching of the strategy, objective, strategy, then the next part is looking at the various ways of doing it. What are the various ways of doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ultimately there are many ways of doing the work. So what does the process of identifying? You're looking at various ways of doing the work, and strategy is basically you define that how the things can be achieved, but you have to find various ways, no? Select the best alternative, forecasting, evaluating alternatives, determining the availability of various means to achieve goals. Strategy or is basically the shadow of objective. Objective defines it. The shape of the strategy is definitely going to be based upon the objective. So it is basically determining the availability to of various means to achieve the goals. So we're trying to achieve the goals in this case. So then it would be based upon determining the availability of various means to attain the goals. We are trying to achieve the goals, so we are making sure that if we want to achieve the goals, we are stabilizing our working. है ना? So these are evaluating the various ways. Then why is evaluating alternatives considered a challenging task in the planning process? Um, it is very important and challenging. The problem is everything has a pros and cons. If I say that there is phone number one, phone number two, phone number one has these benefits, phone number two has these benefits, both of the phones are of the same price. You'll be baffled. Oh God, what kind of problem is that? If the price is same, this has this benefit, this has this benefit. Uh, what should I buy? Android or iPhone? And if I'm going for Android, should I go for Samsung or OnePlus? Till the time you don't come up with the choice, कि देखो, I want this phone or this is what I want. So that clarity comes after evaluating many things. And sometimes once you have evaluated everything, you'll be like, no, even this, if there's a problem, I want this. So because it involves forecasting, because it requires political interviews, or because there is a wide variety of options and possible outcomes, because it relies on basic policies. So in this case, what would be the answer? What would be the answer, everyone? The correct answer is while evaluating the particular alternatives considered a challenging task. It is a very challenging task because of the fact there is a wide variety of options. The variety of options are definitely something which is very difficult for any organization to work upon, right? Now comes the next point. What is the stage called where the plan is adopted and the best alternative is settled? Opportunity analysis, formulating derivative plan, selecting the best alternative, or objective establishment. What would be the answer in this case? When we are trying to find out what is the stage called where the plan is adopted. When you're trying to adopt a specific plan, then it would be selecting the best alternative. You are looking at all the alternatives and then you said, boom, this particular one is the plan that I wanted to pursue upon. Then, how does planning contribute to optimization of resources? Planning plays a very important role in optimizing the resources there. By allocating resources randomly, by determining the activities with maximum resource demand, by discouraging the allocation of resources, by avoiding return on investment considerations, the planning contribute a lot in terms of the optimization of resources. Why? Because you are looking at where the exact return is required, so you are determining the maximum resource demand, where the maximum the demand is there. Because what will happen if I know that maximum demand is of one particular jacket in the market, I'll just sell that particular jacket in the market. Why should I sell other things? For example, I think I was looking at one particular there was a particular documentary which I was just looking at. I think not even a documentary, a very small video was there regarding a specific clothing which was made in India and used to be sold in Europe and other areas, but it got banned in that area because that was hand painted. just like it was basically a specific cloth. I forgot the name of the cloth there, but that cloth was basically used. I think that was sheen, I believe. So that is what they used to paint on it, and it was so popular in that particular era. The people, when the organizations in that particular era, Europe and all, they just failed because this was more popular. This became like a fashion thing for them. So ultimately, they banned the end product. This is way before. I'm sorry, way before India became independent. While during that period, so when these things happened, so what did they do? They banned the clothing that was basically exported from India. Then people started smuggling it, and then since it was so much in demand, the organizations which were working there, they didn't had hand painting people now. So what they did was they started making cheap copies of it on the machines, and that's how the entire thing was done. So you find the maximum resource demand, which particular thing is required in the market and how much it is required. So I will be determining my particular area in on this basis itself, right? So, one fun fact, one particular concept that we did today is MBO and a revision of planning, and a couple of questions on the steps of planning. That's what we did today. I hope this particular session was helpful towards the entire learning process. Now, the next point is, have you enrolled in the course yet? Tomorrow, I'll be starting with my first class for ABFM. Today was the orientation class. So, kindly be there in the morning at 8 a.m. I'll be taking the specific class. So I'll be waiting for you in the class itself. So kindly be there at the same time. So if you haven't reviewed the particular orientation class now, just go through it. You'll get the glimpse of what exactly ABFM is. Because ABFM itself is a very interesting and a very detailed subject. Okay. So before I end the particular session, do you know today is the last day of our double validity sale? If you're preparing for June 2024, this is the last moment where you can exploit the particular opportunity and get the course at the lowest price. What you need to do is go onto the web www.adda247.com. My specific batch that I'm talking about is I am in the scholars batch. That means in the scholars batch you'll find ABM, BFM, ABFM, and BRBL. Problem is there is no elective in it, so it is your choice. You want to take elective as well, then go for Mahapack. If you want only the four subjects, then you can take up the scholars CIB June 2024 batch. Then if you just want ABFM, then the ABFM batch is also there. June scholars CIB ABFM batch is also there. Now the point is, if you are thinking about Mahapack, just let me know. Let me tell you about the Mahapack. In the Mahapack, it covers bilingual English medium, past, present, as well as the upcoming classes. If I have got the validity for 24 months, na, so I have this particular whatever classes are going to come up in this particular period, and whatever has already been done, all are visible to me. I can choose what I want to watch. So that means live classes which are going on, the recorded ones, everything is visible to me. Test series is visible, ebooks are visible, then 1006 videos are already there. And plus the best part is electives, all five are given. Matlab, if you haven't chosen what particular elective you want to choose, look at all the videos. Choose the best, look at the first 3 4 videos of each and every elective and decide ki, haan ji, this particular thing I understand the max mark. So then this particular one I should be choosing. Then choose that one and go for it. So that's the clarity you should have. This particular subject is easier, so I will choose this particular elective, because in elective you just have to get good marks so that your aggregate is going good. So it should be like you shouldn't be taking any risk of learning any new subject, because CIB itself is very extensive. Now, what you can do is use the code Y541, and today is the last day to get 81% discount. You will get it for 9,000. 9,000 for 24 months, 2 years. That means the entire CIB Mahapack, 10 plus hours of mini marathons, then 5 plus hours of Maha Marathon, plus our entire course of bilingual and English medium recorded, as well as everything is visible. Matlab, you get revision classes, you get MCQ, numerical batches, whatever we come up, everything is available to you. So go ahead and check it out, because today is the last day to get this particular Mahapack. So hurry up and check it out on our website and app for further details, everyone. Thank you so much.